And yes, we are back. Welcome everybody to the Maj Toure Show. It is Friday, August the 29th, 2025. You are tapped into the Maj Toure Show. We started at 30 seconds early. We started early because we wanted to see who's going to show up early. We started early because we're going to talk a lot of good stuff with people that need the information that we're talking about. Y'all know the routine. Come through. Tell me where you're watching from, what platform, what city. Engage. Let's talk. I'm this week seeing so much more burning and destruction of the Constitution coming from the political right. And it's been like a constant theme this week in the week show. And you guys know we go from Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm just bugged out by it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you're coming in, hit that like button. Smash the like button, everybody. If you're watching on X, hit that repost button. If you're watching on YouTube or whatever other platform, share it from one platform to another, because the Maj Toure Show, when you guys tap in, I don't need a million of y'all. It's not, it's a million of us solutionaries for sure, but I don't need a million people right now. What we need is the hardcore people that's showing up Monday through Friday, playing it in the back, getting the information, getting the talking points. We need to be force multipliers to find one more of you people that's tapping in, because you want a balanced perspective based on honesty and objectivity. If you're one of them people that wants somebody to just say the thing that the people on the right or the people on the left say, then you in the wrong fucking place. But that ain't, I don't cultivate those type of people anyway. So anyway, if you're that person, I want you to help us find one more. Less is more. I don't need you to recruit and find 30,000 people for us. No. We need to inculcate and stew and inform people in this right knowledge, because the Matrix has had the minds of people for a very long time. But anyway, tell me where y'all from. Tell me what platforms you're watching from. Share it all over the place. So maybe we find, out of 100 people, we might find 2 people that's in alignment with our Solutionary brand. Why are conservatives burning the Constitution? Bookworm says, welcome back. Real quick, yeah, let me address that. So yesterday, y'all didn't see the show on YouTube. And why didn't you? Because YouTube, the day before, when we were talking about the mass shooting, YouTube said we couldn't come on television yesterday. So we only streamed to X, and it's something weird happening, man. X and Rumble. I think the connection severed on Facebook, and it's severed on Rumble. But anyway, back to YouTube, back to X, back to Rumble. Make sure you guys are subscribing to all of the channels. When you have a message that's powerful and that tries to unify America, you're going to get kicked off of some of these social media platforms. I've been kicked off of X once, had to rebuild that page. I think I was at 100,000. I've been kicked off of Instagram 3 times. That's like a few 100,000. So we're going to be on all of these platforms, but we want everybody to share the message on all of these platforms. And we want you guys to be in our private community. You know where they can't kick us off of or can't disconnect us from? Our email list. So we want everybody to go to the email list, sign up for that. We want you guys to get the value and the information that's on the email list. We want you to get empowered. We want you to get deals. I don't know if y'all can see my shirt. It says kill all. Y'all can read it. Okay. That's an exclusive that's only available. It's not available on the website. It's only available for people that I communicate with directly via DM or people that's in our private community. These are the things that we have to do to maintain exclusivity. One of the worst things that happened to hip hop was everybody got involved in it. And I say that not as a diss. I say that as a people got involved in hip hop that had no understanding of the culture, so they watered it down. It got worse. So on one level, you could say expanding it generated different resources, but it watered down the culture. And so we don't want the solutionary culture to be watered down. We are only here for people that want to leave the bullshit behind, that don't want to be divisive, that you can struggle around issues and we can argue around topics and we can sculpt our mission. Okay? But if you want to be one of those I'm just saying this because my talking points on the right or my talking points on the left, they told me this is what I'm supposed to say. We're not here for you. We are not here for you at all. I want you to fucking unsubscribe. That doesn't mean, what up, Quantel? That does not mean that I'm saying there cannot be struggle and civic and passionate debate. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you just showed up, because I see some of my folks, they show up. When I'm critical of Trump, they tapping in. When I'm saying how the left is attacking Trump, they saying, damn, Maj, you seem like you being biased again. No, I'm being objective, a critical free thinker. Okay? So if you're not that person, my show ain't for you. I'm not for you. If you're not trying to be well-rounded, if you're not trying to conserve the Constitution as we go into tonight's topic, if you're one of them people that want to just only respect the Constitution to own the libs, own the left, I'm not your fucking tribe. If you're a Republican in name only, I'm not your tribe. If you're on the right and you can't say, hey, we should make some resources available through philanthropy and the private market to give people a little bit of help that might need it. If you don't want to call out the right on their unceasing spending and money printing, we're not the same tribe. But if you are a person that wants to conserve liberty, conserve freedom, conserve the Constitution, limit government, and all of those different things and be a little more well-balanced. And when I mean balanced, I don't mean work-life balance, because that's a myth until you're rich. What I mean is, if you're the type of person that wants to actually improve America with unity and not just do this silo thing, then you're at the right spot. So this week, I've watched so many people that in name only pretend like they're Republican, that to this Friday, tonight, I wanted to do a quick recap because I seemed like it just bugged me out. It seemed like it was this whole week between Trump and DC and the federal, agencies down there violating DC residents' Fourth Amendment rights, their Second Amendment rights. Somehow, if I say, yo, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of, people want to silence me because I'm asking questions about the transgenders and her, whatever, because I don't know if it's transgender man or, but I don't know. I don't care. Right? But then the media will try to silence you. Listen, I'm seeing so many things that have happened wrong this week that it's like, I gotta address it. So we're going to go back this week. Again, guys, if you're watching on X, hit the repost. If you're watching on YouTube, share it somewhere else. Wherever you're watching this at, Rumble, subscribe to all of the channels. We're going to be on all of these joints, all of the time. Now, I want to start with this video here because we're going to go back a bit. The title tonight is Why Are Conservatives Burning the Constitution? And the reason why I'm going to start with Candace is because if I don't know if y'all know, but I did Candace Owens' show a few years ago. Okay. And I had a great sit down with Candace. And this was at the height of, she was still kind of like high key, kind of like just her argument was kind of like dissing black people. And whether through branding, rebrands, or through evolution, or just a different hustle, whatever. I don't care her reasons. I'm not her father. I'm not her fucking husband. For whatever her reasons, she's taken a different, went independent, has been very critical of the Israeli government, and culturally has kind of more aligned with some of the cultural conservative things. And I don't know if it's because she's listening to libertarians. Dave Smith has done her show. Whatever the reason is, she's kind of broken out of some of the neocon talking points to an extent. And I will say that I'd give a lot of that credit to her being, because her, I had conversations with her about libertarian values. I did her show like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. It was a while ago. Anyway, she's broken out of this mold, and it creates a vacuum. Anytime that something does something that's successful, if McDonald's got a corner, Burger King is on the way. Okay? Burger King got a dope corner, McDonald's is on the way. It doesn't matter. Right? So when somebody goes to do something else, when I stepped into Black Guns Matter, there were not as many Second Amendment activist organizations that were going directly to urban America. It wasn't. Nobody did what we did. And after I start ascending and talking about other things, civics, politics, doing different shows, you see people that want to do what I did. And I'm not saying this as a diss as far as the instructors. I'm saying this as a diss to the people that are coming in and trying to be more extreme than Candace at the low end of the totem pole. She's evolved, at least in popularity. And she's tried her rebrand when she did, the Breakfast Club and all of those different things. The Joe Budden show and all of that. She's created it's smart PR. I'll say that at the minimum. And I'll assume that she's genuine in her evolution. So she got off of some of them talking points. But what I've noticed is the Brandon Tatums, which never really took. Brandon Tatum is kind of popular, but he never took because he's not sharp enough. He's kind of out of shape. He doesn't really hit the same. Okay? But you're always going to have the new person that wants to be the next up. And so as she's evolved and had more liberty-based talking points, I'm watching the Charlie Kirks, the Brandon Tatums, the Nick Fuentes, and I feel like I've been saying their names all week. So I want to dead that shit this week and leave you guys with some understanding. Okay? The new shock jock thing in the conservative space or neocon space is to say things that are kind of like old 5-6 year ago Candace. To say things like just kind of like low-key throwing black people under the bus. It's always okay if you want to get some lily white conservative attention and money. It's always okay to say negative things and group black people with the negative portions of the black community and act like that's most of the black community. That's the same hustle that a Tariq Nasheed would do. Say that all of the white people are evil and, suspected white supremacists, and just build a following off of people's anger and frustration. So he does it with black people, and a Candace or, got Nick Fuentes, they do it with low IQ whites. So when that vacuum is created because that person leaves that spot to go get to new markets, you'll have more people vying to be that person. The light-skinned girl that's with PragerU now, she's black. I think she's mixed. She has the same repetitive talking points. I don't even know her name. So in the last week, we've watched it turn a little bit just from the cultural conservative being disrespectful to black people, being disrespectful to, whatever, insert whatever group. All of the Latin people are here damn near illegally, like these types of conversations. We've watched that, and it was from a cultural perspective for a very long time. They never really touched on legislation. But over the last couple of weeks, I'm watching them advocate for more. Now we're going in the direction of legislation. I could argue with somebody about their stupid ass points or ignore it at least when they're talking about, the transgenders. Like transgenders are the biggest problem in the world as adults that, they're doing the mass shootings. The mass shootings are done by males, by and large, but they're not going to say that way. They need a cultural scapegoat. So I could ignore some of the cultural stupidity because it has no legislative background. But now we're watching these conservatives argue for legislation that is in alignment with their bigotry. And this is expansion of the government, and they're supposed to be conservative, and they're low-key, like on the low in the beginning. When you see it, it looks high-key, because when you're a very limited government person, any types of infringements on your rights always look high-key, because that goes hand in hand with expansive government. So when I see this, it culminates today where I start, we looking for what we're going to talk about, and I'm just looking at what we've already talked about this week, and I'm like, damn, this back-to-back. I'm not even arguing against the extreme left at this point. Even a transgender shooting yesterday, I'm not arguing about the left. We used to the left saying we need gun control now after every shooting. Now I'm looking at so-called conservatives advocating for the burning of the Constitution. And that's what tonight's show was going to be about. So I want to go back a bit. Because in this particular clip, now these are all from my Black Guns Matter DMs on X. If you don't follow the Black Guns Matter page, you should follow that as well. So these are all from DMs, and I'm just going through stuff from this last week or two. And I'm like, damn, every time somebody breaks out of this neocon mold, it's almost like you chop one head off and four goofball fake conservatives show up. So I'm going to start with this Candace Owens video real quick. And again, guys, tell me if you can hear, if the audio's cool or anything like that. But let's check this out real quick.
Or community military members can join when I get a dishonorable discharge for not contributing to delete people or my body for the interests of a certain foreign nation benefit. I love this question. I do believe that if war in Iran is on the agenda, and that appears so, get dishonorably discharged. Who cares? Who cares? Why should you go die in a foreign land? You now have the benefits of 2020. You can see, think about those men and those women who died because they were pitched that they were serving their country because there were weapons of mass destruction, right? They were serving their country because the Taliban, they were serving.
Now, let me pause it right there real quick, y'all. I'm playing this because this is what conservatives are actually supposed to say. Not, yeah, just go into, and I know I got some guys that did time in the military. Some, special forces dudes, Army Rangers, infantrymen. That are like, no, you fighting for the person next to you. And I hear that. But you can't on one hand say this government is corrupt and is controlled, because, some people say it's controlled by APAC, right? You say that and then say, but yeah, we still should be, because our guys are in the military, we still should accept orders. And we should, because technically what she's saying right now is, she could be tried for treason if you advocate for soldiers to abdicate their responsibility and neglect their positions, right? But the question becomes, if we know that they're putting us in more and more wars, and this is about old men sending young men to die for wars, if we know that, and we know that it's AIPAC, and we know that the Iran thing, if we know that, somebody, a conservative, is supposed to, a limited government conservative that's doing a morally righteous, limited government, not sending my brothers and sisters to go die in war. Somebody's supposed to say that. And this is what Candace said a while ago. Again, this was maybe a month or two ago. And then the argument, because the thing was at that time, I was like, damn, is we going to war with Iran? Okay. And she said this and people pushed back as if there was not something true to it. And it's not about whether she said it or if she's all the way right and Candace has had some coming to Jesus moment. I don't give a fuck. I don't work for Candace. I think Candace has grifted at certain points, and maybe her new explanation of things is just seeing the writing on the wall, so you got to pivot a little bit. And again, it's a smart tactic, but I can't 1,000% say that it's genuine. I don't know, and I'm not saying it as a diss. I'm saying it in the sense of I don't have conversations with Candace no more. I haven't talked to Candace on the phone in a bajillion years. I don't know. Okay? But what I am saying is, this is what conservatives, if they're genuine, are supposed to say. They're supposed to say, no, you are supposed to oppose bullshit. When the founders of America said, okay, we're going to play this slavery game, but at the same time, we got to try to end slavery in America. That's what the founders, some of them, actually were on. And if you don't believe that, that means you didn't fucking read enough, and I'm not trying to convince you. I don't have time to try to help you figure it out. You should go read on your own. Okay? We objective as solutionaries. So with that being the case, a limited government conservative is not supposed to advocate for war where their countrymen and countrywomen might get blown up at first. And then we definitely not, outside of our countrymen, we're not supposed to be doing to go fight these wars and babies are getting murdered for X, Y, and Z. That's what's supposed to be happening. And you know what happened? People that are supposed to have love for the military, protect our troops, bring our troops home, they attacked her for it. Why? Because this new era, lily white conservative, neocon, fake conservative movement is adapting. And they're getting better at their bullshit and convincing people that they're actually conservative. Just like I suspect that Candace had a rebrand. And my opinion is, regardless of if it's genuine or not, or you see the writing on the wall and the ground shrinking underneath your feet, regardless of that, at the end of the day, she's going in that direction and that rebrand looks better. The conservative movement, or at least some of the more popular, thrust in front of you on your television screens, they are going in the 1000% wrong direction. Wrong. So instead of them listening to what she's saying here, they actually got either at best got quiet, or if they didn't get quiet, they in essence turned around and said, I'm going to attack her. I'm gonna get behind the Israeli government. We're watching neocons, literally that said America first. I ain't hear nothing constitutional or limited government come out of none of these fuckers' mouth in the last 3 months. All I have heard is Israel, 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 Israel. Israel, 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 like all day. Went from MAGA to MEGA. And I'm not saying this as an attack on Jewish people, Jews, Semites, Sephardic, Ashkenazi. I don't care. That's not my argument. My argument is it's an Israeli government doing things that I disagree with. And limited government conservatives that are thrust to the forefront are communicating this messaging 1000% wrong. Wrong. You are advocating for more war. There's a scene in the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson. Amazing movie if you haven't saw it. There's a scene in the movie where Mel Gibson and they having like a town hall meeting, and his homie that he went to war with before is like, yo, we got to fight back against the tyrant King George. And he's like, I can't. Because he knew what war was. And his homie was like, what about your principles? And he said, I'm a father. I don't have the luxury of principles. What he meant by that is war is bloody. We've been to war before. If we are in opposition to King George, it's going to be another bloody war. And I got sons. I got to tend to the family. And he was about to tap out. And then what happened? One of the redcoats killed his son. If you haven't watched The Patriot with Mel Gibson, and generally, after a while, I stopped fucking with Mel Gibson. I don't fuck with him, but that movie's that movie. That's the one where you see the video of him with the tomahawk. If y'all get a chance, watch that movie. Why am I making a reference to this movie? Because there became a time where it was limited government conservatives understood how fucking bloody war was. These people pretending like they're conservatives, calling themselves Republicans, never been in a fucking fight before. They don't lift. They don't consistently shoot. They don't do anything hard. They sit behind the microphone all day. New rule. If they are one of your favorite pundits and they don't shoot, they don't study, they don't train, they don't fight, they don't lift weights consistently on social media, like how they be talking all of that other shit on social media. If you don't see them consistently do that, they're not fucking conservative. The founders of America were like farmers and fucking blacksmiths and fucking, you know what I mean? Worked at the paper mill. Regular dudes. When you see these people, and I'm talking more specifically to the men, because I don't give a shit. I'm using Candace as the example because she's one of the more popular ones that I've seen have go in a different direction. But I really don't engage in fucking talk to fucking, I'm not critiquing women. I leave that for the fucking women. I'm not arguing about shit with no fucking girl. You know what I'm saying? So my point is saying, because a girl will go back and forth with you, and I don't got time. Guys don't go back and forth because if you get too disrespectful with men, we understand it could potentially be a fucking fight. And we might get a beer afterwards or something, but it might be a fight if you say, you can't get into a fight with a chick. You know what I mean? So my point in saying this, y'all, is these people are presenting themselves as something and going the exact opposite direction of the direction that our country needs to go in. And I'm just y'all tapping into the Maj to ratio. I'm going to assume y'all want solutions. We solutionaries. One of the solutions is, look at how fat Brandon Tatum is getting. I saw his goofy ass at the White House in a press conference. Like, he is a unqualified moron. He's not smart. He's not a smart man. He doesn't study. He don't read. He's a dummy. Okay? He's gaining weight. He's in the White House press room. What journalistic integrity, what journalistic history do you have to justify your fucking position here? But that's the state of this administration. Started out great and turned into shit. It's looking like shit right now. Everybody gets a fucking... I loved when I saw Tim Pool interview Donald Trump. Because if y'all don't know the origin of Vice before it got bought, right? Tim Pool was a part of that. He has journalistic integrity. Tim Pool showed up and started doing journalism like around the Occupy Wall Street movement. You feel me? So I loved for that. And I know Tim. So I'm not tripping. I ain't really tripping about that. But now everybody getting a fucking press pass. And it's like, what are you doing, bro? Well, who are you? What skin in the game from writing hard-hitting journalistic pieces justifies you being in the White House press room? It's clown shit. They just stack the deck. It's like fucking court in Game of Thrones. Everybody in the court in the Iron Throne is just there to listen. And when King Joffrey says something, they could try to like dick ride to get favor in the court. That's what it is. That's not what America needs, though. So when I bring up Candace, I say this because she's going in that direction for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not a part of her team. I don't know her fucking PR strategy, but I know that it looks better than what they're doing. Right? And it's actually working out good for her. It's not working out good for these other people because they just look bad. No, everybody with half a brain can see that it's like, you don't know. What the fuck are you talking about? You're not even work. You're not an intellectual. You're not just a hardcore grinding workhorse that's going to be a blue collar dude. And I'm talking about most of these pundits on your TV. They're not actually like just grit. They're not fucking the team over at First Form. They're not solutionaries. They're not like, yeah, we got to get it done. We doing a solutionary now. We got to get the shooting done. We got to get some study done. We got to spend time with him. They're not doing that. They are faux elitists that pretend to be limited government conservatives that say talking points that secure and identify their own bigotry that they hide behind false patriotism. You understand? And this whole last week or two, I just been watching this shit and I was like, ugh. Look at it. This right here. This was the White House last week. Talking about, oh yeah, I'm gonna, and didn't, and it was a pump fake, but it was a pump fake that I'm like, that's a useless pump fake. Why are you even pump faking? Pretending like we're gonna give people a year in jail for burning the flag. Meanwhile, the actual press release of the executive order that they put out clarifies that they like, we can't do it because the First Amendment is clear. Then they hodgepodge mix it in with some shit to sound patriotic, all to appear like you're standing up for the American flag, while low-key going in the direction of being disrespectful to the First Amendment. This is a fucking SCOTUS decision that has been affirmed and reaffirmed several times. So now it's a fake pump fake to your base to make yourself look like I'm really, really helping out because this disrespect for the American flag got to stop. No, the disrespect for the Constitution and the Bill of Rights got to stop. Look at that blue line right down there. Was highlighted. My administration will act to restore respect and sanctity to the American flag and prosecute those who incite violence or otherwise violate our laws while desecrating this symbol of our country. That means we know that violating the flag is protected under the First Amendment. We're going to make this big show and act like to our low IQ neocon base, yeah, Trump's really doing it. Trump's really doing it for the little guy and for America. Feed y'all that while literally in the fine print says, we're going to investigate people that we see on social media burning flags, but if it's in conjunction with the commission of an actual crime, then we're going to give them an extra year. Which means you're investigating. It's like if I was robbing somebody and lighting a flag on at the same time. They give me the extra year, but they're investigating me for robbing the person. You understand? But they fed it to these so-called conservatives, and the real conservatives went, why do we give a fuck about the symbol of a flag? Why? When we're talking about all of these other issues with the massive spending, the money printing, that has more of an impact on our quality of life. Let's talk about that. I don't want to fucking talk about the dumb shit. That's what an actual conservative would say. They would say, why are we talking about this? What's the point of this? Why are we doing this? Here's the contradiction. Let me blow your mind. Most of these same conservatives, when Trump was not in office, from 2020 to 2024, when Trump was not in office, most of these same conservatives railed and fucking pushed back against the vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine, the jab. Most of them did that. They were being suppressed on social media for talking about it. I know, I was one of them. Get kicked off, this, that, and the third, kicked off of planes, all of this shit. All of this shit, no doubt about it. Yeah, no doubt about it. These same conservatives, Trump gets in office and literally, you are in opposition. This is how you know you're not objective. You are in opposition to the jab. But the guy that's trying to take credit for Operation Warp Speed, which sped up the jab, is still at this point in 2025 saying that was because of me and it was great. And y'all are championing that guy for that move. I like Trump for other things, not for that. That's how you know it's bullshit. And this, in my opinion, is how they got us. They knew we needed somebody in there that the pushback would come from conservatives. We need somebody that they all follow, the conservatives, the guys that even if they was just talking shit, at least they would talk shit better if Kamala was in. But if she's not in, if it's their guy, they're going to be quiet. The great and honorable Dr. Martin Luther King said, there comes a time when silence becomes betrayal. And this is what's happening. This is not me just making this shit up because it sounds cool or because I suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. If you go on my Instagram page at Big Daddy 2Ray, my last recent post was them saying, oh, Trump took away Kamala Harris's security detail from his Secret Service. They packaged it as if it was Trump doing it. No. Vice presidents usually only get about 6 months of Secret Service protection after their terms are done. It's a month later. Then they go, oh, he got rid of it because Biden gave her an extra year. When they give vice presidents an extra year, that's under the pretense that there's an emergency or a threat on that administration, their life. There's no threat to Kamala Harris. Nobody's spoken about Kamala Harris since the election. Nobody gives a fuck. There's nobody thinking about her. But they package that as if Trump did it, as if that's not the standard operational procedure. And Biden did something out of the ordinary. So my last post on Instagram is talking about how, look, the media is lying on Trump yet again. So this isn't a Trump derangement syndrome conversation. This is an objective, solutionary conversation, what you all need to be. You all need to be balanced in this approach. And if we worried about Kamala Harris, all of these politicians become multi-millionaires. She got a book deal or a Netflix deal or something like that for like a big number. They all become multi-millionaires once they get in office if they wasn't already. They can hire their own fucking security. So your tax dollars should be paying for a vice president that we didn't see for 3 years of her vice presidency. Then they trotted her out when they thought they was going to run her. And then now it's starting to look even more like a psyop to me because she was the worst fucking candidate to pick. But my tax dollars should pay for her security detail when no one's thinking about you, homegirl. So this is more, we got to secure. No, spending money on that. When these people move around, it's like $500,000 every time they move with all of their security detail. Okay? No, I don't want to pay for that. So as a balanced approach, You as a solutionary are supposed to evaluate these things, and you come to the show Monday through Friday. You play it in the background while you cooking, you whatever, spending time with your family, whatever. You listen to the show because I want to distill some of this for y'all and connect some dots for everybody. See, we have bits and pieces of information. What my skill set is connecting and translating. I'm a point guard. I can tell everybody the whole floor. I'm like an extension. A point guard is an extension of the coach on the floor. I can explain things that the coach understands to the players while I'm on the floor. And a point guard gets everybody involved as long as they've been practicing and is on point. I'm not passing you the rock if you ain't been prepping, if you ain't prepared. I'm going to be Kobe to you. I'm shooting because I seen you in fucking practice. You ain't work hard enough. Why the fuck would I pass the ball to you? But if you coming in, you tapping in, you in the Solutionary 9, you working hard, you spending time with family, you growing as a person. It's my job to give you the information, give you the game, dish you the rock Monday through Friday on a minimum tip. And I'm telling y'all right now, the biggest threat to the Republic right now is not the Democrats. I'm telling y'all, it's not. And I'm not saying that like most people that are Republicans are siding with the dumb shit. I'm telling you that most people that are Republicans are listening to people that have an agenda. They are fucking Decepticons. And I'm talking about from the social media perspective. Somebody name to me in the chat, name to me right now 3 popular conservatives that have advanced a limited government cause in the last 6 months. And I'll wait. Give me 3. Give me 2. Give me 2. Give me 2 popular limited government conservatives, or people that say they're conservatives, that have advanced. Talking about these pundits. Or give me a Republican in DC. Name 2 that have advanced a limited, not Massey. Massey's a libertarian and we all know it. He cosplays as one of these fake ass rhinos to get liberty, you know what I mean? And he gets pushed back from all the other fucking so-called Republicans. Name 2. Name 2 limited government, let's do a pundit and a politician that has presented some actual limited government views. Thomas Massey and Rand, they don't count. Bookworm said Thomas Massey and Rand Paul. I'm not counting them. They're libertarians. Rand Paul is fucking Ron Paul's son. He don't count. He's clearly a libertarian. Kyle Seraphin. That's the dude that used to work at the FBI, right? If I'm not mistaken. I could go with that one. I think I could go with, if that's who I think you're talking about. If that's who I think you're talking about. Wild Celt said Kyle Seraphin. If I'm not mistaken, damn, do Kyle... Bill Maher's not coming to the light. He doing the same thing Charlemagne was doing. You mean? Let me look. I'm gonna look up Kyle. Okay. Wild Celt says that is who I thought it was. And Kyle actually follows me. I think so, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we follow each other. This is who you talking about? Shit, I fucked that up. Judge Nat, did he retire? He promotes a liberty message. I'll give Judge Nat. We used to follow each other on Twitter, on X before I got kicked off. I've done Judge Nat's show before in New York. I think he retired though. But he's a pundit. I'll give you that. The fact that we struggling this hard, and how many we Republicans got the House, the Senate, and the executive branch. You notice nobody in here said Donald Trump. Nobody in here said Donald Trump. I go with Andrew Nat. I go with Judge Nat. Quiet as kept. Judge Nat was potentially going to be one of the libertarian president candidates last year. That was on the low. That was on the super low. He entertained it. My point in saying this, y'all, is we struggling to come up with names. And the 2 names that everybody would gravitate towards is Massey and Paul, Ron or Rand, all with libertarian backgrounds. Our job is solutionaries. I'm not telling y'all got to be libertarian. and like go to the Libertarian Party. I'm not saying that. That's cool if you should, right? I ain't tripping. But if you can, but make the liberty movement. As solutionaries, we gotta low key be like libertarians in a sense of, if Larry Sharp says this all the time, and it's absolutely true. If you got libertarians in the room, you're gonna have better Republicans and better Democrats, because the libertarians gonna go, that's not constitutional, that's not limited government, that's not less it's fair, and then they'll at least act like they more liberty minded and constitutional minded while the libertarians are around. And in my experience, that's true. We saw it 1,000% with Trump's campaign. The problem is, once they in office, they operate like Democrats or Republicans or rhinos. This is why we have to make sure we are creating and strengthening and educating and creating that network of us as solutionaries that are limited government liberty minded. We have to be the change and create more to change. I don't respect most people outside. I don't respect a lot of people. Okay? Paul Smith says, how are you forgetting Justice Clarence Thomas? Because he's not a pundit, nor is he a politician. He said he has more of an impact on liberty and conservative mindset. I could agree with that, but we was talking about pundits and politicians. He's a judge. He's stuck in that one job forever. And cases got to get to him. And he restricted by the other 8 motherfuckers if they decide if they're going to see a case. But don't get me twisted. I ain't shitting on Judge Clarence Thomas at all. Okay? But my point is, I don't respect a lot of people outside. When I'm around people that I don't respect because of their work ethic and their worldview, I start to change their worldview. My job is to make y'all stronger. Your job is to challenge me and make me stronger. Your job is to make sure, Maj, keep going. Your job is to hit me up and be like, Maj, I donated $100. I need macros. I need a workout routine. I need a meal plan. I work for y'all. Y'all have no idea how many people, I'm going to show y'all, how many people I be hitting up just talking about, yo, we need this, y'all need that. Y'all need this in the solutionary group. Look it up. Y'all can't see all of this. All of this shit right here is me talking to people and helping them in our solutionary non-group. And some of this is just as individuals. Why am I saying that? Because y'all challenge me to be better by helping better, being of better service to y'all. When I give y'all talking points and solutions, it's to make your go at the rumble against the bullshit extremes on the so-called right and the so-called left, 2 wings of the same bird. You are a different animal. You are a solutionary. Your job is to be honest about if the right gets something right, if the left gets something right. If the right gets something wrong, if the left gets something wrong. Okay? My job in servicing you all is making sure that I'm talking to you and giving you those talking points and help shape the narrative that you can challenge and pressure test. Challenge everything that I'm saying. Challenge it and pressure test it. Pressure test it in real life, in live when we be on the show. Pressure test it when you talking to other people and they got different perspectives. Okay? If it works for you, utilize it. If you find something better, use that. My job is to make you stronger. I work for y'all. This is why I keep telling y'all, come be a part of our private community. By a show of hands in here, let's be real. I want y'all to be real tonight, okay? And we're going to move on right after this. By a show of hands, I want y'all to be completely 100% real with me, okay? Keep it a buck. How many of you are where you want to be financially, or where you want to be as far as study, or where you want to be as far as health and fitness, and are where you want to be as far as shooting? All of those areas. We're not gone to the days of just, I'm out of shape, but I could shoot. I don't give a fuck about that. That tells me you're not firing on all cylinders, and we got work to do. I named 4 things. I said finance, I said study, I said health and fitness, and I said shooting. How many people in the chat, let's be honest, because if you say, I love the honesty, Wild Celt said 0 out of 4. And that's not a diss. That's honesty. I could work with that. Wild Celt, you better get your motherfucking ass in the Solutionary 9. You better get your ass enroll in our private community at Solutionary University. I'm not saying this because I'm just saying it just to be saying shit. I'm saying it because if you're that level of honest publicly, and if we work together, I can strengthen that. I can make that person a better shooter. That's not hard. Actually getting people dialed in on a diet and a mindset and accepting how, like, you gotta have a team of people that are like minds in this walk, or you're gonna be extremely lonely. Getting people to accept that is way more difficult than getting somebody to shoot well. That's not difficult. I could do the shooting part with I wouldn't, but with my eyes closed, figuratively speaking. But I only heard one person. Wild Selt was honest. The reason why I'm telling y'all this is because it's my job to create blueprints and systems and link you guys with a network of people that can strengthen you in a multitude of areas. Y'all ever heard the phrase, jack of all trades, but master of none? Give me a thumbs up if you heard that. And I want to hear how many people also, we got 2 questions going. 1, how many people in here are firing 7 out of 10 on them 4 cylinders? Finance, fitness, shooting, and strength. And study. Tell me you 7 out of 10. Yeah, Boss Brown, I can see the Rumble chat. Tell me if I want 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 is a C to me. That's average. So if you 7 out of 10, okay? You 7 out of 10 in those 4 areas, let me know. Because that's acceptable. When we building a soldier has to be in shape. A soldier has to be skilled in their one lane specifically. But they also have to be skilled in the general basics of all of these other different things. That's what a soldier is. Because if not, we leave you to the fucking vices of the goofballs that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, that are literally burning the Constitution. That's why I brought this up right here to this next page. Pearson said he's poor. So Pearson, we have in the Solutionary group, we have a commissioned for all of the merch. It's free. Everybody, I tell everybody after every show, shoot me a DM. I'll get you the link. We got a commission-based sales to sell the merch. Y'all ain't see this new shirt. Some of y'all ain't see this. It says kill all pedos, right? However, you can piggyback when I post about the merch. Let's say some of y'all got Black Guns Matter merch, right? You got the merch. Cool. People ask you about your media shirt, your Make the Hood Great Again shirt, whatever. You could give them your link and say, this is where I got it from. And you get 10% commissions off each sale. You tell $10,000 worth of people that, and you take $1,000. See, as a solutionary, as the general in this solutionary army, my job is to think up things. I don't care if it's only an extra $200 a month that you get. That's money that you get that go to pay a cell phone bill or some shit. But meanwhile, we dick riding all of these fake ass conservatives that's trying to destroy the Constitution that have offered you nothing. How does that make sense? It doesn't. Boss Brown says, yes, I'm a no on all 4. Only really running on fitness and finance. That's a good start. That's a good start. But study and shooting is a component. If a motherfucker got a whole bunch of muscles, I got muscles, right? I got muscles. If I got muscles and I don't have a firearm to defend life, and somebody without muscles, a skinny, weak dude with a big ass gun show up and he get the drop on me, I'm done. I lost, period. You got to be firing on a bunch of cylinders. That's why we made the Solutionary University. Okay? Salty Ginger Snap says 7 out of 7. I have 7 brothers and they all teach me something new every day. Still learning at 40, but I'm dedicated to adapting and overcoming these challenges in our way. Salty Ginger Snaps, I'm going to tell you straight up. Get in the Solutionary 9. Because again, if you don't, we're going to leave some of these new minds, because y'all going to start coming to get some of these talking points from the show. And y'all going to be putting people onto shit that would have otherwise been left to people that don't know this right here. Let's read this AI overview. Because I think a lot of the people that pretend like they conservative, they're talking about culturally conservative and not limited government conservative. So I want to go over this real quick. Let's read this. Conservative politics supports the preservation of traditional institutions, customs, and values, opposing rapid changes to established social and government systems. Let me stop right there. That is a mixture of political and cultural. See, because conservatism is political, legislation, and cultural, they'll only have y'all talk about the cultural component while they trying to ignore the political component, because a basic tenet of conservative politics is limited government. So they'll highlight you all day with the conversation about LGBTQ and gender bathrooms and gender roles and marriage and homosexual. They'll talk about that all day and be quiet about the political conservatism, because they're asking for more government when they say, what? We need federal government. Trump sent them to Chicago too. They're advocating for something that's wrong compared to what they're saying they are. Okay? Very important. Very important. While specific policies vary by nation, core tenets often include limited government, free markets, strong national defense, and maintaining cultural identity. In Western cultures, this can involve supporting traditional family structures, organized religion. Hold on one second, y'all. Organized religion, property rights, and national institutions. So what they do is, if we don't know how to articulate that somebody's only talking about cultural conservatism, because we aren't even aware of the limited government component of political conservatism, it's easy for them to trick the young people and go, yeah, just because you're married and want to be married and have a heterosexual whatever, that makes you conservative. That makes you culturally conservative. It doesn't necessarily make you politically conservative. Okay? Let's read a little bit more. Core tenets of conservatism. Traditional and social order. A fundamental belief in preserving established traditions, social norms, and cultural identity. That's the, hey, we want male-female relationships. We want this social norm. That's a social norm. We want this cultural identity. The second one, limited government. A preference for smaller government and reduced federal power, often advocating for fiscal responsibility and balanced budgets. As Thomas Massey is saying, no, because you guys are spending too much. No, because you guys are spending too much. All of the Republicans in Congress and that's following Trump are like, oh, he's a grandstander. No, he's actually doing the job. Okay? Individualism. A focus on the individual's role in society and their ability to improve through hard work and personal responsibility. They say that, but then they go into a collectivist mindset. When Thomas Massey says, no, this is not cutting back on spending. Okay? When that happens, then you get people saying, oh, Trump is wrong. Trump is wrong. Trump is right. Massey's correct. You understand? Capitalism. Strong support for free market principles, capitalism, and pro-business policies. So when Trump jumps out and says a Biden policy and says, hey, we're going to make the last, we just said Biden was all the way wrong. Biden's wrong, Biden's wrong, Biden's wrong. But we're going to hold up with a Biden policy, the Trump administration, and say, we're going to put $8.3 billion of your tax dollars. We're going to put that to buy into Intel, which is socialism. Limited government should not be interfering with private business at all. But then somehow we go, oh, that's cool because our guy did it. It's not cool. Free market enterprise means if your company, airline, because you're saying you got to wear a mask, if your company does not practice and does not compete in the free market, your company fucking goes away. That's what limited government, free market enterprise is. Capitalism. We say free market enterprise because capitalism that word is like, it came from like the Marxist Lenin type of energy. So we say free market enterprise. All right. Strong support for free market principles, capitalism, and pro-business policies. In 2008, when the housing and banking crash happened, they printed up a bunch of money, the Federal Reserve Bank, and they bailed out the banks. That's where the phrase too big to fail came from. Earlier, I mentioned Tim Cast and those guys, and Tim in real life and Vice at the time, and all of those guys. They came out of that Occupy Wall Street movement because they saw that the general public saw the funny money that was happening during that time. They just printed up a whole bunch of money. Oh, the banks are too big to fail. How? In a free market enterprise. So you print up money, which is a counterfeit scheme from the Federal Reserve Bank, which impacts inflation, which weakens the American public spending power. That's why since 1913, when the Federal Reserve was created, 96% of the US dollar has gone. That's only been 25 years, 12, 13 years, whatever it is. So when you start connecting all of these things together, because you come tap into the show and you hear people like me say this, and then you get exposed to chubby ass fucking Brandon Tatum's goofball ass, then you wonder, oh, Maj's not just hating on Brandon Tatum. Maj's just telling you that guy's a clown. He does not know what he's talking about. When I say you should stop listening to these people, you should look into some Bitcoin. Maybe you should look into a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island. Just maybe. But see, they put the flash in your face talking about cultural conservatism. Because you agree with that. I'm not with the tranny shit. I'm just not. But at the same time, I'm not going to allow Charlie Kirk's big-headed ass to convince me that I should ask the government to come up with more legislation to say that transgender men, adults, I don't care what they do. You're telling me that I should ask the government to add more restrictions on Americans' right to keep and bear arms because I'm not cool with transgender concepts? That's not limited government. The title of the show tonight is Why Are Conservatives Burning the Constitution? And I just gave y'all 10 different ways of how they're doing it. This one simple Google search right here on the screen explains what the core tenets of conservatism is. Yeah, they mentioned the cultural components, but 3 out of them 4 things is economic and legislation, strong national defense, a commitment to a strong military and a robust national defense. Nowhere in here does it say a freestanding army and the federal government should be dispensed to cities because local government can't do it. That's not true. It's not in there. But let's check it out a little bit more before we tap out. We got about 5 minutes. One of the last times that I went to CPAC, we were at the Ronald Reagan dinner. I am not a fan of Ronald Reagan at all. Why would I be a fan of Ronald Reagan? When he was the California governor, let's read it. Ronald Reagan supported some gun control measures, most notably as California governor when he signed the 1967 Mulford Act, which prohibited carrying loaded firearms in public. I got the video of him saying that. There's no reason why in America today, an American should be walking around with a loaded firearm. That's what he said. It's not me making it up, and it's not fucking AI. Okay? He also signed the 86 Firearm Owners Protection Act, which loosened some of the federal restrictions on gun ownership rather than tightening them, though it did prohibit machine guns manufactured after May 1986. The reason why your motherfucking full auto is so expensive is because of Ronald Reagan, the Republican. That's not conservative. So when I say, why are conservatives burning the Constitution? I'm not saying that like just because it happened the last 2 weeks, because what we talking about right now. I'm telling y'all that they've been doing this for a very long time. And it was wrong the whole time. And if you as a solutionary want to save your nation, you have to get on board and call that bullshit out. You have to. Let's go back in time before we wrap up. Again, guys, givesingo.com/solutionary. I want everybody to support the work. Support the work. Support the work. If you're watching on X, it's my pinned post. Just pitch in. Pitch in $20, $50, $100. We're going to fundraise all this weekend. Okay? I want y'all to read this real quick. George Mason advocated for a government that protected individual rights. First and foremost, before I finish this sentence, most people have no idea who George Mason is. They don't know about George Mason University in Virginia. They don't know that George Mason was a major key in the Bill of Rights. No idea. If you want to go learn about some liberty, and you got raising children and they want to go to college, send them to George Mason University. George Mason advocated for a government that protected individual rights and limited central power, as reflected in his authorship of the Virginia Declaration of Rights and his opposition to the U.S. Constitution due to its lack of Bill of Rights. George Mason was critical in saying, we can't go with this Constitution if we don't have something lined up for the people. That's where they fought. That's what the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists fought. Okay? He was not going to be down with the Constitution if they did not put the Bill of Rights in there. Initially, the Bill of Rights, I think, was 19. Then they whittled it down to 12. Then it was 10. And they then was like, we don't want to make this a separate document. This should just be a part of it. But they agreed at the 10. He believed in the consent of the governed, the separation of powers, and a strong emphasis on the people's natural rights, fearing that an overly powerful federal government and a powerful Senate would threaten liberty and potentially lead to tyranny. Hello. Here we are, right now. Key aspects of Mason's views. Bill of Rights. Mason's most famous contribution is his insistence on a national Bill of Rights to protect individual freedoms. He believed that without one, a new constitution, strong federal government would undermine liberties, which led to him voting against the Constitution. Why am I saying that right now? Because we got a strong federal government attempting to tell states and cities what they're going to have to do. We did this in D.C. We think we're going to send the National Guard to Chicago too. We are in the histories that we be studying. And what this administration doing, some of it is doing, the things that are constitutional, I like. The things that are not constitutional, I call out. Hence the concept of this show. Okay? Next one, limited government. As an anti-federalist, Mason was a powerful central government, was wary of powerful central government and advocated for strong state governments. Mason championed the concept of natural, inalienable rights for all people, including life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay? Consent of the governed. He believed that the government authority derives from the consent of the people and that the government must have their consent to have legitimate power. Separation of powers, representation. Also, big key. This is a big major key. DJ Khaled voice. Right to revolution. Mason believed that if a government became destructive or inadequate to the purposes for which it was created, the people had an inherent right to alter or abolish it. So when you motherfuckers talk that conservative shit, and then y'all turn around or listen to your pundits, and they like, we need to back the blue, no matter what. They're the exact opposite of what limited government principles founded America are. It's not just me saying it because I'm Big Daddy 2 Ray and I'm smooth with this talk shit. It's because I pay attention to history. I don't need to be a genius to look into the future. I need just to be smart enough to pay attention to the past and apply the lessons in the present. And I'm going to create the future that hopefully our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will be okay with. I appreciate that, King Moss 87. I appreciate you too, Salty Ginger Snaps. I'm saying this because, right, Wild Self, back to blue until it happens to you, right? I'm saying this to y'all all because this is the weekend. We're about to wrap up. I'm with y'all Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Yo, I want everybody to DM me. I'm going to engage with y'all. Shoot me a message. I want y'all all to be a part of the solution, our private community. I want 10,000 people, 9,999 of y'all, to be in our community. We already got 1,000, maybe over 1,000, a few thousand, something like that. Okay? Thank you. I appreciate that, Boss Brown. I'm saying this because this is what our movement needs to hear. And when I say our movement, I'm talking about the new minds. If we don't lean the people, that's why I tell y'all all of the time at the end of every show to do two things. One, support it with a donation, get a membership to the Solutionary University, all of that. And two, share these shows. I say this because if not, we leave the minds of our young people to the Brandon Tatums, the Charlie. And I know some y'all are welcome to still like these guys. I'm not attacking them as humans. I'm just saying I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And they're not leading our young people in a direction that strengthens our republic. They're advocating for more and more government. That's not what our young people need. Okay? So when I tell y'all to share the show and support the work, it's for those purposes. And when I tell y'all every donor at the $99 level or more, you're going to get lifetime access to the Solutionary University. I'm going to give you all of that information, all of that transformative messaging, all of that stuff. It's a private community. Okay? I'm saying that because this is how we push back. We have to educate and inform, and we got to create networks. I'm smart as shit. Now, if it's just for me and my people, I'll be straight. But it's easy when you get into isolation like that and it's not a network, it's easy to get plucked. We have to create 1000% have to create networks and units and teams. We have that for you. I want everybody to do two things. Again, share this space all over the place. If you're watching on X, that's my X page right there at Maj2Ray999. If you're on the other platforms, give me a follow. Everybody, for the next 30 minutes, just shoot me a DM. X, whatever platform you're watching this on, Facebook. Let's engage. I want to send you the link so you can either donate and get, I would rather y'all do that. Donate to givesendgo.com/solutionary. Every donor over $99, which is the exact same amount that it costs to get Solutionary University access, right? Naturally Armed, what's up? I see you with the super chat. Support the work. Make sure y'all follow and subscribe to Naturally Armed. Firearms instructor doing good work for the people over there in the state of New Jersey and other places too, but mostly New Jersey. Support, okay? I want you guys to support the work, do it in the form of a donation so I can give you access to Solutionary University, okay? And share the space. It costs you nothing to share this content, right? It costs you nothing to do that, but I want y'all to be a part of this community. And you donating and doing that allows us to teach more students in-person firearms training by our building, and you get access. This tonight's show needed to be a recap to remind y'all this weekend as we moving about, as we fighting around, remember the George Mason energy. Remember the Frederick Douglass energy. Remember the Thomas Paine energy. Remember the Thomas Massey energy. Remember the Maj2Ray energy. You are of that energy. Be that. This weekend when you see some goofy shit, limited government, we de-escalate conflict, we strap, we are safe, we are smart, and we are solutionary. I want to thank y'all all for tapping in. I will see you all on Monday, except for the people you want to engage further, shoot me a DM on any platform. Outside of that, I will see you guys on Monday, same time, same channel, youtube.com/Maj2Ray. Thank you all. Be safe, be solutionary.